here, and today I'm joined with Nicole White. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So looking from a broad perspective, first of all, how is the connectivity landscape evolving, and what emerging technologies are we seeing really make a difference?
Yeah, so first I'll maybe hit the industry part of it, and then I'll really talk more specifically about Collins Aerospace. I think if we look at the overall connected aviation ecosystem, it's been something that's been talked about in the industry for a long time, decades even, and the way it's being serviced today is by a huge fragmented array of companies that are offering things on aircraft, off aircraft, in a very niche way sometimes, and often not integrated or connected between all of the solutions, including some of the ones that Collins Aerospace provides. When I think about it from a different lens, more on the digital transformation that's underway, I would say we're honestly in the infancy of where we are, because there's so much data now being equipped on these aircraft that we haven't fully harnessed the power. And so it's one of the things that we're most excited about at Collins Aerospace because of the position that we have. So I'll kind of pivot from that and then talk to you a little bit about what I think some of the exciting emerging technologies are, starting with our connectivity solutions. And so by 2027, we think 60% of commercial aircraft will be equipped with a Collins connectivity solution, which is an incredible number. And to put some perspective around that, we have an incredible partnership with American Airlines, where we have over 640 of their aircraft equipped with something that we call an AID, or an aircraft interface device. And that is really just a smart box that collects data all over the aircraft and then transmits it securely through Global Connect, which is our cloud portal, ultimately to American Airlines for them to do data analytics about all of the data on their aircraft. And so we're really excited about that. That number will continue to grow. And what that really does is get the data to a place where you can analyze it and ultimately drive insights and decision making. So that's just one example from a connectivity standpoint of what we're really excited about. Two other really quick examples was, I think a lot of people know about our AirInc network. It's really a core backbone of what's been part of our Collins Aerospace story. And that business is one of the largest control centers for networking communications that we have. There's over 75 million messages transmitted every day at a 99% reliability, which is just an incredible number when you think about that. And it really doesn't stop there. We've got our digital portfolio, and so we bought a company called FlightAware a few years ago that really was a game changer for us in terms of the data that we would have and the analytics power that comes with that. And so we're really excited and have already been incorporating FlightAware data into a multitude of the products that we have in the Collins portfolio. And then last thing, and I'll let you ask me the next question, is last year we actually brought in a division of Raytheon, which is our air traffic management portfolio, into the connected aviation solutions business. A really natural fit for us if you think about the overall aviation ecosystem. They control 2/3 of the ATM global coverage between their automation and surveillance solutions. So just incredible numbers that I'm talking to you about, but also to show and demonstrate why we truly believe we touch every piece of the connecting of the aviation ecosystem.
Absolutely, and that was a really comprehensive answer to the question. I noticed you touched on data a couple of times. What's it going to take for us to fully leverage data? Do we have the tools and it's just a case of doing it, or are we waiting for something still?
Yeah, I would say we have the tools. It's more about how you're processing the data, what insights you're getting from the data, and then ultimately what decisions is that driving. And so when I think about what we're doing at Collins, we're really looking at it from three lenses. You've got a sustainability element, a passenger experience element, and then ultimately the performance element, which is obviously what a lot of our customers care about. So let me maybe give you an answer in those three swim lanes. So if I think about what we're doing from a sustainability standpoint, we've actually at the show, we're highlighting a couple of our newest solutions. One of them is called Flight Profile Optimization, and that's really a software application for pilots and dispatchers that they can look at changing flight path in real time for a multitude of reasons. It could be for weather, it could be for traffic congestion or other operational issues happening at the airport that they're en route to. All focused on how do you drive better experience for the passenger, but ultimately what can you do from a potential fuel carbon emission saving standpoint, from a time standpoint. And so that's just one thing that we're highlighting here. The other thing we're talking about is OpsCore, which is really a very precise flight tracking tool that's, again, used for pilots, but ultimately airlines and airports. If you think about the impact of delays from when aircraft take off and land and what that does to how do they get to the gate, and what does that mean from personnel on who needs to be at what gate, or ground handling, the accuracy of that data and how it can be used by all of our different customers is incredibly powerful to that overall aviation ecosystem that we're talking about. So those are just two examples from a sustainability standpoint that we really care about. I mentioned the passenger experience. One of the things we're also really excited about that's come out of FlightAware is our ability to do predictive ETA. So, we've got great partners like Delta and United that are using that in real time, again, to help them better resource for where the planes are going to be, where their personnel need to be. And ultimately, I think as we're all consumers of commercial traffic, you think about how many times you've landed and sat on the tarmac and not got to a gate. You've thought about how many times you've been waiting at a gate and you couldn't board for a multitude of reasons. Those predictive analytics coming from FlightAware enable them to have a smoother service to provide to ultimately you and I as their consumers.
Absolutely.
And then the last thing I'll talk about is performance. And so think about performance from an airline standpoint, an operator standpoint. Ultimately, your goal is to keep the aircraft in the air. And one of the ways that we're very focused on doing that is by providing data insights and actions to our customers through something we call Essentia, which is a predictive and prognostics data solution that we offer across all of the segments that we serve today, really focused on how do we drive predictive analytics to make better decision making for them to ultimately reduce downtime of aircraft.
And you've touched really nicely on the opportunities and the benefits, but looking at the flip side now, the challenges, what are the main challenges plaguing the industry when it comes to connectivity, and how should we proactively approach these?
Yeah, I would say ultimately, if we all think about what the utopia state is for that passenger journey, it's frictionless travel. And what I mean by that is that you're walking into an airport and you're not standing in a long line to check in. You're not standing at a long queuing line for your border management or biometric screening. And so, again, as we think about what we bring to this space, we've got an entire airports business that's focused on common use terminals and bag drop solutions and biometric solutions. And so how do we use that data to inform the beginning of a passenger journey where they go into the airport? Ultimately, the things I talked to you about in terms of predictive analytics to help the airlines or the operators, if you're in business aviation, get passengers seamlessly on the aircraft and ultimately taking off. And all that comes back to what we started the conversation with, which is data. And how do we take disparate data systems and drive stronger analytics that ultimately drive insights and actions for each of those stakeholders to take to truly make the connected aviation ecosystem work together. And those are the complex problems that we're trying to solve at Collins Aerospace.
Fantastic. And thinking about the event now, how does it help to drive meaningful change in the industry?
I think there's a lot of things. Number one, we're on a lot of industry committees working with our partners in industry to talk about how do you solve these complex problems. I also think as we look at the solutions that we're putting in the market, they're targeted at what we're hearing are the biggest gaps in the market from a need. And so you think about, we're all trying to solve for the sustainability impact that we have on the earth, and things that we talked about, like that we can do that both protect that and also enhance the passenger experience, I think are great things that we're trying to do to solve those problems.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you.